to land, crypto risk management and long-term investing. I took profit from Linea. What I do with the money next? You took the profit. Now what? Most investors spend a lot of time thinking about when to buy and when to sell. But for me, that's only half of the decision. The other question is, what do I do with the money after I take the profit? Because I don't want to sell some Linea today and then sit there tomorrow thinking, okay, what do I do with this money now? I want to know that before I take the profit. Right now, when I realize a profit, I divide it into three parts: 70% reinvestment, 20% personal income, 10% opportunity reserve. And I'll show you exactly what that means with a simple $100 example. One important point before we start: these percentages are what I am using right now. They can change in the future. The same applies to my linear price ranges and profit taking levels. I'm showing you my current system, not a permanent rule for everyone. Before we continue, just a quick disclaimer. I'm not a financial advisor, and this isn't financial advice. I'm simply sharing how I personally manage my Linea investment and what I do with the profits I realize. Crypto is risky. Prices can move very quickly, and you can lose some or all of your invested capital. So don't copy my strategy just because it works for me. Do your own research, consider your own situation and risk tolerance, and make your own investment decisions. This video is actually the second part of my linear profit-taking strategy. In the previous video, I explained when I take profit from Linea. I use predefined price ranges and profit-taking levels. The exact levels can change as I review my strategy. But the idea is simple. I don't want to wake up one morning, see Linea moving 30% or 40%, and suddenly decide what to do. I want to have an idea beforehand. And once I actually realize the profit, I move to the next part of the strategy. What happens to that money? Let's say I make $100. Let's keep this very simple. Imagine that I realize $100 in profit from Linea. What happens next? Under my current allocation, $70 goes to reinvestment, $20 goes to personal income, $10 goes to my opportunity reserve. So instead of having one pile of $100, I now have three different purposes for that money. And that's exactly what I want. 70% reinvestment. Let's start with the biggest part. 70% goes into my reinvestment fund. In our example, $70. But there's an important detail here. I'm not automatically buying Linea again. This is something I really want to make clear. If I sell some Linea and the price keeps going up, I'm not going to say I have $70 available, so I need to buy Linea back right now. No, I wait. I still follow my predefined buying levels, for example, 0.00314, 30% of capital, 0.00274, 10% of capital, 0.00234, 10% of capital. If the price reaches a level where I want to buy, then I have capital available. If it doesn't, I wait. For me, that's much better than chasing the market. Having cash available doesn't mean I have to use it immediately. 20% personal income. The next part is 20%. In our $100 example, $20 goes to me. Why? Because I don't want investing to be only about putting money back into the market forever. If an investment generates a profit, I want part of that result to actually benefit my life. I'm not talking about spending everything, I'm simply giving myself a predefined part of the profit. And I actually like this part of the system because it gives the profit a real purpose. It's no longer just a number on an exchange account. Some of it becomes something I can actually use. 10% reserve. The final 10% goes into my opportunity reserve. That's $10 from our $100 example. I keep this money available. Why? The 10% I keep goes into a reserve fund. I use this money only to buy Bitcoin and Ethereum during major market corrections. roughly a 20% drop from recent highs, especially when the price falls to around half of Bitcoin's cycle peak. That's when I activate this reserve fund and start buying. What if Linea keeps going up? Now, let's look at something that can be difficult psychologically. Imagine I take some profit from Linea, and then Linea keeps going up. Maybe it goes much higher than I expected. What do? Nothing emotional. I still have part of my Linea position, so I'm still participating if the price continues higher. And I'm not going to chase the price with my reinvestment money. I'll wait for my predefined buying levels. Maybe Linea comes back down later. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. And that's exactly why I don't want my strategy to depend on knowing what happens next. What if Linea drops? Now, let's look at the opposite situation. I take some profit and then Linea drops. Again, I don't know what happens next, but now I've already realized some profit and have my buy levels. I still have my remaining Linea position. I have the reinvestment money, and I have the opportunity reserve. Does that protect me from losses? No, absolutely not. Crypto is still risky. This is not a protection against losing money. It's simply a way for me to organize my capital after taking some profit. Why not just keep 100% of the profit? This is a fair question. Why not just put all the profit back into crypto? I want some money working toward future investments. I want some of the result to benefit my personal life. And I want some money sitting on the side in case an opportunity appears. That's the reason for the three funds. It's not because I believe 70-20-10 is some perfect mathematical formula. It's simply the structure that makes sense to me right now. And these numbers can change. This is important. 70-20-10 is not written in stone. If I review my strategy in the future and decide that a different allocation makes more sense, I can change it. The same goes for my linear price ranges. The same goes for my profit-taking levels. Markets change. My strategy can evolve. But there's a difference between changing a strategy deliberately and changing it every time the market moves. I don't want to do the second one. If Linea goes up, I don't want to suddenly rewrite all my rules. If Linea crashes, I don't want to suddenly rewrite all my rules either. I want to review my strategy and make changes when I believe they're justified. If you enjoy this kind of content and want to follow my real crypto investment journey, consider subscribing to the Abraham Cryptoland. I share my own investment system, portfolio decisions, profit-taking strategies, and risk management approach. No hype, no unrealistic predictions. Just my process, my decisions, and what I learn along the way. And if you haven't watched the previous video, check it out. There I explain when I take profit from my Linea position. This video is about what happens after I take that profit.